It's always a pleasure to see you. A very sad start to the year, I think, seeing the onslaught in late December that began in Gaza, and the numbers that we gave earlier. We have over 800 dead. Women and children 333. What is the way forward? And really right now we're looking at, is there any way the world can hope for peaceful resolution to this crisis?
First and foremost, I think we need to literally redefine this meaning of terrorism. Because what Israel, the United States and other countries are doing to bomb civilian populations, kill people under the name of collateral damage is their fight against terror. And these states are themselves terrorist states. And they come here in the field view of media to justify. Let
me stop you there, because I stopped the Israeli ambassador and I said to him, you have your perspective, and I hear what you're saying. The same thing where the Brits look at the Mau Mau as terrorists and the Kenyans say they were freedom fighters. So there are those perspectives, and without going into the details and pointing fingers, how do we pull back from that? Because that is the kind of
what we need to do, Julie, is to get, first and foremost, also Israel to respect international law. It is them to respect resolutions of the United Nations. The United Nations has called for a ceasefire, and Israel said the ceasefire or the proposals are not workable. Hamas is already in Egypt trying to negotiate within the terms of the ceasefire. Hamas...
I'm stopping you again there,
yes,
because we're going back into the details, and I do understand what you're saying. But the question is, the international community, and I hear you saying that Israel must listen to UN resolutions, must pay attention to the borders, but moving forward now, with all these people dead.
Moving forward is what you started with. I heard in your last interview talking about dialogue.
Right.
I think these people need to get together to resolve some of the historical issues, first and foremost. Secondly, they need to resolve the issue of Palestinian statehood. It cannot be resolved without Palestine having a homeland. And I think those are some of the issues.
So that is critical, is saying, do we look at Palestine and say, let us give these people recognition internationally, let's just turn it into a state?
In fact, I think the peace process that was mediated by Bill Clinton had hoped to achieve the means of a Palestinian statehood. Mm-hmm. And I think the Palestinian people feel quite duped or hoodwinked in that respect. And therefore I think what we need to do is to first and foremost call for the end of violations on both sides. They keep saying that there are violations on both sides, so maybe to play within the international language, we say that we must all sides must accept a ceasefire, right. And then on the basis of that, we start to negotiate the issues of human rights, issues of Palestinian statehood, among other issues that need to be resolved for peaceful coexistence.
Let me ask this: there were demonstrations, of course, in Nairobi, in other parts of the world as well. There have been demonstrations about this. The question is, just like Kenya in February, March last year, facing, all the pain it went through and saying, we must stop here, forgive and move forward. Do you feel that the community, the Muslim community, would be willing to say, if you are willing to sit at a table with us, we can resolve this and we can move forward?
I think I speak as a Muslim rather than for the Muslim community, mm-hmm. But the Muslim community has always tried as a community to sort for peaceful resolutions whenever they are faced with possibilities of conflict or national destruction or a continued elongated war like the one we see in the Middle East. And I think there has been that olive branch extended over and again, where people have come to the table of negotiations, but only to find that it's been very weak on implementation. And I think this time I call upon maybe countries like the US to exercise some moral leadership, mm-hmm. rather than positioning themselves in terms of the lobby groups in the United States or right. Some kind of inherent right. Mandate to protect Israel or to whatever cost. The human mm-hmm. cost has been massive. And that's what is important. We've seen babies die, we've seen children die, we've seen women die. And I think if you want to argue for human rights, let there be some general standard applied to every country, not where you come here and pressure President Kibaki to respect human rights, and then you don't pressure
elsewhere. You are the country abstaining or not pushing for resolution.
That's why that brings this issue of hypocrisy and these issues where people say that the West acquires double standards depending on the situation as it arises.
My final question for you, Hassan, the Arab League and the community of Arab states who have such incredible financial muscle, who could actually wield that muscle to really try to support the creation of a Palestinian state. Do you feel they've done enough? Is there more that they could do?
There are these Republican and monarchs who are a clique of rulers who really do not represent the popular opinion of the Arab and Muslim masses. They sit on these countries within a stranglehold. If you look at the kinds of excesses within some of these own countries in terms of violations. So they have already been compromised as leaders, and therefore they find it very difficult to push interests that adversely, affect their survival in power. And therefore we see the carnage in Palestine because of the selfishness of the interest. And I can tell you this, Julie, as a final remark, there is broad-based public opinion globally, not even within the Arab population, against what is happening in Palestine. And more so, if you took the Arab Muslim public opinion within these countries, all these leaders will not be surviving in a democracy. Hamas was voted in by the people of Palestine, legitimately so.
Let me stop you there. I think the point we end with really is children and innocent people dying is just atrocious. It's a very difficult situation.